Good day, folks, and welcome back to Ed's Garage. Behind me are two of some of the most popular subcompact SUVs on the market today. We have the extremely popular 2025 Kia Seltos EX up against the recently completely redesigned 2025 Hyundai KONA preferred trim. Now, these two vehicles, believe it or not, are priced within $1,000 of each other in Canada, but I think you'll be surprised at the differences between these two. Now, Kia, if you already don't know, Kia and Hyundai are very, very similar related companies. They both basically have similar platforms, similar engines, similar transmissions, that sort of thing. They share a lot. These two vehicles are on the same platform, but they couldn't be more different for the price. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the front of both vehicles, go to the back of both vehicles, go inside both vehicles, and show you what the differences are and what you get for your money on one versus the other. So, of course, the KONA has the benefit of being the newer vehicle. So this got redesigned just last year. The Seltos was still on a fairly older platform. Well, it's the same platform, but as far as the technology goes, the infotainment system, for instance, is the older version of the infotainment system. So it's pretty cool to see the differences between these two. Now, one thing I'm not going to be able to do is drive them, but I can tell you this, that's going to ride a little nicer and be a little bit quieter. It's a bit more refined, but that's not what everyone's looking for necessarily. If you're more sort of techie, you also may gravitate towards the KONA. If you want a bit more luxury, strangely enough, you may gravitate towards the Kia, with the exception of the ride quality. But let's go over everything. We'll start at the front and go from there. Now, starting at the front of the vehicle, you might be surprised to hear this because I work at a Hyundai dealership, but I actually think that the Kia is the nicer looking vehicle. I do like the wheels on the KONA, but the Kia has a bit more of a traditional front end, and I don't know, I think it just looks a little better personally, but of course looks are subjective, so that really doesn't matter. Along the front here, we've got projection LED headlights and high beams, which is kind of nice. You got the really cool sort of design for the daytime running lights, which you can see kind of flickering away in the camera. They don't do that in real life, by the way. That's just how LEDs work with cameras. But big difference, we've actually got LED projection fog lights on the front of the Kia, and that is non-existent on the KONA. With the KONA, the headlights are down low, kind of eliminating the need for fog lights. They are still a projector headlight and high beam, no fog lights at all. One thing that the KONA has that the Kia does not, you know, I'm going to say KONA and Seltos because otherwise I'm going to get these confused, but the KONA has active shutters. So these actually will close when it no longer needs the extra cooling ability. So they open and close, and that's to reduce aerodynamic drag. It makes the front end a little slipperier than what you would have on the Seltos because that's just got a big open grille. Now, the daytime running lights on the KONA are these little strips right here. So very futuristic looking front end, very clean and smooth on the front. As far as technology in the windshields, we have the forward-facing camera right there on the KONA, and of course the Kia Seltos has that as well. But how those systems work is a little bit different. All right, let's have a quick look at the side of both vehicles. We'll start with the wheels and tires. So on the Seltos, you get a pretty nice looking aluminum alloy rim. It's a 215/55 17-inch wheel. The tires are Kumo Solus TA 31 Plus. So those are an all-season but mud and snow rated tires, so good to use anywhere in British Columbia anyway all year. The KONA, on the other hand, also gets Kumo Solus premium tires. These are 1 inch bigger though, 215/55 R18, so an 18-inch aluminum alloy wheel, so a little bit bigger wheel. It looks pretty nice. Yeah, so as far as the tires and wheels go, I got to give the win here to the KONA. Quick look at the side profile of the Seltos. Yeah, pretty handsome vehicle. This one does, of course, have the marker lights in the mirrors, just like the KONA. The mirrors actually look almost exactly the same as what we would see on some Hyundai products, which makes sense. Now, they do both have the button on the front door handles for proximity entry. However, the design on the KONA does look a little nicer in my opinion. As far as the side profile of the KONA, yeah, pretty good looking vehicle. As far as the sides go of both, I've got to give that to the KONA. I'll give the front end to the Kia, the Seltos, but the side profile of the KONA is quite nice. It's got a lot going on and it just looks cool to me. Now, Of course, again, looks are subjective, so your opinion may differ. Taking a look up at the roof, you can see we have roof rails on both vehicles. However, I'll give the win there to the Seltos because it's got sort of a two-tone look. These just look a little bit cooler. They kind of overhang at the back. Just a more interesting looking design. And the Seltos has the sunroof. The Kona does not. You got to spend more money to get that in the Kona. Apologies for the noise, guys. They're doing some landscaping or something over there. Okay, having a look at the back of the Kona, you do get this really cool light strip all the way across, which looks kind of nice. Of course, there is a rear wiper, and it says Kona along the back there as well. Of course, it's got the backup camera. The back of the vehicle looks pretty good. There's not a whole heck of a lot going on back here, but yeah, decent looking tail end of the vehicle. Let's have a look at the Seltos. A little bit more traditional styling over here. Doesn't look like any... Yeah, it does have LED lights on the side here, but nothing going across. So definitely more traditional styling on the Seltos. Again, does have the back rear wiper and of course the camera right there. So these are pretty much tied, I would say. All right, next thing to look at is under the hood. So I've popped the hoods on both vehicles. The Kona does have hood struts to hold up the hood. So that's kind of cool. Let's see if the Seltos does. Oh, it does not. Okay, the hood is heavier and it does not have struts. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the peg up there. There we go. Now, these both have a 2-liter 4-cylinder dual overhead cam 16-valve motor. Now, despite the top cover of the engine being different, I actually don't think there's any difference between these two engines. They're both 2 liters, they're both dual overhead cam 16-valve. They both have the Smart Stream technology that is labeled on this one. So yeah, I don't think there's any difference between these two. So we'll just, yeah, we'll call that a tie. They're both 147 horsepower. The fuel economy is basically the same. Yeah, no real difference there. Under the hood, they both have the insulation up against the hood, and both are stitched up very, very nicely, very, very tight. You're not going to see those falling down over time. As far as the engine bay itself, obviously this one's brand new. That one's got a few thousand kilometers on it. Good working space around the engine on the Kona. As far as the Seltos goes, yeah, about the same. Easy to work on. Got some plastic coverings along there, got some insulation around the back there as well. Yeah, very, very similar. I'm not really seeing enough of a difference to give the win to one or the other. They both have their windshield washer fluid in the same place, oil or brake fluids in the same place, batteries pretty much in the same place, air filters in the same place, maybe slightly easier to get to on the Kona, but not enough of a difference to say one is better than the other. As a matter of fact, I would say they're almost identical. Yeah, not much of a difference between the two. So I gotta give it to the Kona only because it has the hood struts. That's it. I mean, it's easier to raise that hood up. You can do it with one hand. You don't need two hands to do it. So a slight win to the Kona on under the hood. All right, let's check out the rear and open up the hatches. Now, neither of these vehicles has a power lift gate, but a power lift gate is available in both options. However, for the Kia, you only have to go up one trim level to the EX Premium to get it, whereas with the Kona, you have to go all the way to the top trim level to get the power lift gate. All right, so back here, trunk space is going to be, again, very, very similar. As a matter of fact, the trunk floors basically do the same thing. So you've got dual height on the trunk floor. Seat backs fold down 60-40 split, and they also can recline a little bit. And that's going to be identical on both vehicles. Let me show you in the Kona here. There is one slight difference. The Kona does get the privacy cover built in, so that's kind of nice. And another difference is the floor actually ramps up to the seat back if the seats are folded down when the floor is in the lower position. Now, under the floor on the Kona, you'll notice no spare tire. We got a tire mobility kit. On the Seltos, we got a spare tire. That's pretty unusual. I'm actually quite surprised to see that because Kia kind of started the mobility kit thing. They were eliminating spare tires in all of their vehicles. As far as the head space underneath the tailgate, they're both about the same. At 6'2", I can easily stand underneath. And what's funny about these vehicles is, despite the fact that they are subcompact SUVs, I can do that. Most other companies, I can't. So that's kind of nice to see. So as far as the tailgates of both of these, yeah, they're a tie. I mean, again, the Kona does have a slight edge with the privacy cover, but a lot of people really like a spare tire. So yeah, let's give it a tie. Personally, I prefer the tire mobility kit, honestly. And as far as the total cargo volume in both vehicles, it's nearly identical. So that's kind of off the table as well. Okay, next stop, back seats. All right, so I've gone ahead and set the front seats of both vehicles to my driving position. So we're having a look at the Kona first. And yeah, we got good leg room. So I've got about 2 inches in front of my knees. I can stick my feet underneath the seat very, very easily here. And of course, as I mentioned, I can recline the seat slightly as well. And I've got a center cup holder armrest. Armrest on this side is solid. Armrest in the middle, of course, is cushioned. I've got a grab handle. And the seat itself is fairly comfortable. We do have 2 USB-C ports back here and a little spot to store a cell phone, with 2 vents as well. So now the question is, what does the Kia Seltos give me, and is it as comfortable? Because that's a pretty comfortable rear seat. Okay, so let's jump in the Kia Seltos. Put that seat back up there. Okay. Okay, so slightly less legroom. Instead of 2 inches, I got about 1 inch. I do have good space underneath the seat to put my feet. I've got 2 backlit USB ports, a spot for a cell phone. I have a fold-down cup holder armrest. Again, I can also recline the seat, and I do have a cushioned armrest on the left, as well as a grab handle and 2 vents. Both vehicles have solid seat backs, so that's good to see. So the Kona wins it slightly in legroom, but the Kia Seltos wins it in comfort. And the reason for that is for the nice soft armrest, and this has a leatherette interior. I actually do prefer this interior, as far as the seat coverings anyway, over the Kona. And the seat back on this one, the seat itself is very, very comfortable as well. So yeah, I'm going to give this to the Kia Seltos. Despite having slightly less legroom, it's nicer back here. There's no question. All right, let's check out the passenger front seat. We'll start with the Kona. Let's have a quick look here. Okay, so we've got height adjustment and seat back adjustment. And of course, the seat can slide forwards and backwards. We've got 3 levels of seat heat in here. Okay, cup holder there, which doesn't really move or anything. A little bit of storage underneath the armrest. Nice spot to stick a cell phone, and a reasonable sized glove box, as well as a reasonable sized door pocket with bottle holder. And again, no soft armrest. Okay, well, let's check out the Seltos. Okay, so for the Seltos, no height adjustment on the seat. But again, it does have that nice leatherette interior. We have soft armrest here and soft touch door materials as well. Again, 3 levels of seat heat, same size glove box. Yeah, a little bit less console storage, but it does have more hidden storage. Okay, for the passenger seat, despite the fact that it doesn't have height adjustment, I got to give it to the Seltos again because of this armrest. I really hate a solid armrest, and it's nice to see some padding here. All right, before we get into the tech, we're going to have a quick look at the driver's seat between the two, but I suspect this is going to go to the Seltos as well. Let's have a quick look. Driver's seat, of course, is also manual in this trim level. We do have height adjustment at the very least. Again, solid armrest here, which is a little frustrating. Now, as far as the sort of space in the driver's seat, as I mentioned, I would put the seat where I would drive it. I do have a ton of headroom above me, and of course a tilt and telescopic steering wheel, and a padded armrest on the right. Let's check out the Seltos. All right, so for the Seltos, the seat manipulation is exactly the same. We've got height adjustment, but again, yeah, that leatherette is just nicer than the cloth. Now, some people may not like leatherette and prefer cloth, and that's fine. You may find that the Kona is better in that regard. But yeah, to get leather in the Kona, you do need to spend about $4,000 to go up high enough, sorry, $2,000 to go up high enough to get the leather interior. So that's something to consider. As far as the steering position and comfort of the armrests and whatnot, yeah, the only place that this one exceeds is in the fact that it has leatherette and the soft touch armrest. Other than that, they're basically the same as far as comfort. So now it's time to talk about the tricky stuff, and that is the technology. So with the instrument cluster, we're looking at pretty much the same capability. We have, you know, a little small center screen right here, flanked by two digital representations of speed and tachometer, and that's pretty much the same in the Hyundai. And it's a sort of a 10-inch layout. It's not all screen though. This is technically the screen, although these are kind of like screens. I mean, I guess they are, but they're separate from the actual screen bit there. But if we move over to the infotainment system, that's where this vehicle unfortunately does fall apart. It has the older infotainment system, which I suppose some people may prefer the layout of this system, and it does still have wireless phone projection, so that's kind of nice. So Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is wireless in this vehicle. In higher trims with navigation, however, it does not. You have to go to a lower trim to get wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. In the higher trims with built-in navigation on the Kia, you would actually have to plug your phone in. Whereas with the Kona, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is standard across all trim levels. Now, having a quick seat in the Kona, as you can see, we have that sort of digital representation of speed and tachometer and the same little screen in the middle here. So as far as the instrument cluster, they're both basically the same. This one is a bit bigger. This is 12 inches across, whereas the Kia Seltos is 10 inches across. So can't really give the win to one or the other necessarily because it's such a small difference. When it comes to infotainment, however, the Kona definitely wins between these two. This is a much more intuitive system to use. It has more customization capabilities, and of course it's also wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. With a nice big screen like that, when you have your Android Auto or CarPlay running, you can have map on one side, music on the other, even, you know, music and, you know, last text message, whatever. So this screen is definitely nicer. It's a 12-inch screen. Both systems are non-polarized, so that's good. But yeah, this definitely gets the win on infotainment. Next, let's have a quick look at safety technologies. We're going to go into the setup, and what I'm going to do is just kind of run you through the different safety tech, the driver assistance. So within the driver assistance settings, you can see we have smart cruise control, so basically adaptive cruise, which is the little button there, which keeps you a distance between you and the car in front of you. Under driving safety, we have, of course, warning and control if risk of a collision is detected. So forward autonomous emergency braking system with multiple levels, standard or late. Lane safety will keep you in your lane. It'll also vibrate the steering wheel if you start to drift over your lane. And then driver attention warning, we have leading vehicle departure alert. We have speed limit warnings in here as well. And then parking safety, we have rear cross traffic safety, provides warning and vehicle control when a risk of rear cross traffic collision is detected while reversing. So it will hit the brakes if there's a pedestrian or cyclist or whatever car coming from the sides as you're backing up. As far as the backup camera goes, very, very clear image. It does have the dynamic steering lines, and you can adjust the camera to look straight down over the bumper as well. So pretty nice system. No parking sensors or anything in this particular one, but a lot of customization in the safety settings there. And then as far as this little screen in the middle here, that's where you're going to find some of the settings on the other vehicle, I believe. I don't think they do the settings on that screen, but we'll go check that out next. All right, sitting in the Kia again here, so the Seltos. So yeah, definitely a little bit more traditional looking layout. I mean, they did kind of go for that same sort of merged screen thing here, but they've added some buttons on here, whereas in the Kona, they're down below. This is a smaller screen. It's only an 8-inch, but it is at least a non-polarized screen. So if we go into the setup here, oops, there we go. You can see we've got some things that we can change, but not nearly as much as with the Kona. But again, the settings you can adjust for your drive assistance is actually within this little screen right here. So if we have a look to see what we can do, driver assistance, so we've got, yep, we can change the warning volume, Driver attention warning, so there's the leading vehicle departure alert, so that's the same. We go to drive safety, we have autonomous emergency braking, we have just the warning, we've also got the blind spot safety. So this one does not have the rear cross traffic alert with collision avoidance. As a matter of fact, I don't know that it has rear cross traffic alert. Oh yeah, it does, sorry. So rear cross traffic safety, but you'll notice it's just an alarm. It doesn't say assistance. So it will not hit the brakes. It'll just warn you with an audible tone, and it'll put a little icon up in the mirror there. So it's lacking some safety technology. So for instance, the forward autonomous braking on the Kona can detect pedestrians, cyclists, and I believe junction turning detection. The Seltos can detect vehicles and pedestrians, and I believe cyclists, but I don't think it has the junction turning detection. So some slightly newer tech in the Kona when it comes to safety. So when it comes to the infotainment system, the center instrument cluster, as well as safety technology, got to give the edge to the Hyundai Kona there. And then as far as some of the other stuff, you're going to see we do have a bit of an edge in the Kia Seltos on some things. So one thing for sure is the automatic climate control. So you can see here we have 3 levels of automatic climate control. So we can set the temperature, we can adjust how aggressive it is. So that has definitely got to go to the Kia Seltos, because there is only manual climate control in the Kona. I mean, it has AC, but it doesn't have the temperature that you set and then it just gets there on its own. So definitely the win to the Seltos for that part. Now they both have heated steering wheels all the way around. They both have all of the controls for your multimedia system on one side of the steering wheel. They both have a lane centering, a lane keep assist. This one does not have adaptive cruise control, so that's another thing that you get in the Kona that you won't get in this one. They both have heated seats on both sides. They both have the heated steering wheel. The win goes to the Kona for the heated steering wheel, though, because in the Seltos here, it's only got on-off, whereas in the Kona, there are 2 levels of steering wheel heat, so that's kind of nice. They also both have drive modes. Now, the drive modes in the Kia, the Seltos, are normal, sport, and smart. Now, I don't see... That's right, they don't have terrain modes here. So they do have a lock button that can lock the center differential. But let me show you what the difference is in the Kona. Now, both of these vehicles have an all-wheel drive system that was designed and engineered right here in Canada and Austria by a company called Magna International. And it's a really good all-wheel drive system. There is a slight edge here in the Kona because not only does it have different drive modes, it also has terrain modes. Now, I happen to be in a front-wheel drive Kona, so I can't show you those terrain modes, but I'll tell you what they are. So essentially, you get your normal Sport Smart, just like you do in the Kia there. However, you also get mud, snow, and sand modes, which also will lock the center differential, but in varying degrees. So when it comes to all-wheel drive capabilities, the edge definitely goes to the Hyundai Kona. Now, one last place that the Kona also wins is in connectivity. So, and I don't mean just things that you can plug in. I mean, we do have, 2 USB-C ports in the front here and 2 USB-C ports in the back. But this vehicle is also equipped with free BlueLink for 3 years. And BlueLink is where you can remotely control your vehicle from your cell phone. And by control, I mean turn it on, set your climate control system, turn all that stuff on, unlock the doors, lock the doors, find it on a map. And then you got these buttons up here to call for roadside assistance and to call for emergency assistance. Also, when you get into an accident, God forbid, it'll actually call emergency services to your location automatically. However, as you can see here on the headliner of the Kia Seltos, there is no such buttons, because in order to get that technology in the Seltos, you've got to go 1 trim level up and spend more money. So unfortunately, for the Seltos, I got to give the win for connectivity to the Hyundai Kona. So let's quickly tally up those results and see which one of these 2 vehicles wins for the price. And the results are, so for the drive, for the under hood, for the tech, safety, connectivity, and the all-wheel drive system, I have to give it to the Kona. For the Seltos earns points on the rear seats, the passenger seat, the driver's seat, the HVAC system. Now, of course, both vehicles did tie on several things, including the overall looks of the vehicle, power delivery, and the trunk. giving the Kona the win by 2 points. Now, despite these results, I recommend that you check them both out. They're both great options. The Kona has a slight edge because of the fact that it's a bit newer in some things, and the Seltos has a slight edge in some other things. So, I mean, yeah, test them both out, see which things are important to you, and then choose the one you want. You're not going to fail going either way. They're both awesome vehicles. In any case, I hope this video helped you out in some way. If it did, please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Comment below if you like one or the other better. As a matter of fact, maybe I can get an unofficial poll going. Comment below if you like the Kona better, and comment below if you like the Seltos better, and maybe I'll wait a couple of months and tally up the results. But yeah, they're both great vehicles, so you can't really go wrong with either. All right, again, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, have a wonderful day.